Hi, if you are considering to buy a bench grinder with a belt, this video might give you some helpful information, especially regarding this particular model, Metabo BS, probably for belt sander, 200 plus. I will discuss some problems that I came across in this when I was using this, and I will discuss the things that I like about it and hope that will help you make an informed decision. And to briefly put it, I'm not returning it, but I'm not 100% happy with how it's made. There is some room for improvement. I really would love for someone from Metabo company to take this into consideration, fix it, and even at a higher price, if those downsides were fixed, I think it would be a good recommendation. And right now you will have to decide for yourself. I cannot tell you either way because I am not sure for certain. So let us begin with the problems. I will put all the sections in the video's timeline visible and in the description so that you can skip to the parts of interest. I wrote down the bullet points because I am one of the most absent-minded people that I know. So this is what we will be talking about, and it will be visible in the video's description and probably in the timeline if you hover the mouse, for those 3 people that are still not using smartphones for everything. So let us begin. First thing, aluminum handle. Let's discuss that. What I mean by that. The belt part is, I will move this in a better place for camera, just this starting will be here. So this can be tilted and adjusted. That's one of the nice things. We'll discuss that later. But to fix it in place, Metabo have made a very smart design with poor execution. So what they did was use an M6 bolt that goes through here, and it's supposed to clamp these two together so that this gets stuck in one place. So this is supposed to go through here, and on the lower section there are 2 flats that will keep this bolt from turning. It's not something that you can clearly see in camera, but we maybe show it later when I mount it all together. So this bolt goes between those 2 flats, so those prevent it from turning, and it has a split washer, as if split washer will make much of a difference, but that's what they chose. So probably to prevent some rattle. That's the basic principle. But how do you tighten it? This has this handle that has small grooves. I will shed some light onto this. So really smart design. It has some grooves inside, and those grooves resemble what you see in a socket wrench or with 12 points or more. So that's the basic principle. It has these grooves that fit over the bolt, and it's an 8 millimeter diameter, 8 millimeter hex. And how that works actually is that this goes over, and then there is a spring for creating some tension, load, and then this threads inside. So this bolt goes through here. It threads inside, and it has a limit here by how much it can thread inside. The coloring is mine. This was all silver or black, so that is the basic design, and it goes inside here. It's threaded in to create some preload, and then when you need to adjust this, you turn this to tighten it, and if you need to further tighten it, you just pull it a bit off against that spring so that it can freely turn. So those grooves disengage, then get it back in place and further tighten it, because you have limited room here to work in a way. And that would have been a really practical and nice design to do this without any tools. Their older model BS 175 or something like that, or 70, had a hex wrench or Allen wrench to adjust that, but in this case they designed this. However, this is very soft material, probably some aluminum or plastic over a small piece of aluminum, and the engagement depth of those grooves is less than 3 millimeters, about 2.5 millimeters, what I could measure. And that makes it you don't have to be ham-fisted, you don't have to over-tighten it or anything. It cannot work. It cannot not get damaged and worn very quickly. For me, it happened within a couple of weeks of use, within a few adjustments and so on. And I don't think it's, I wouldn't mind, how do I say, confessing and saying, yes, I did it with too much force, but it's not the case. And when I looked for reasons why this got broken, I figured it out, and someone in Metabo company designed this, and then someone approved that design, and it went into manufacturing, and then it was given to a ton of reviewers, salesmen, influencers, and so on and so forth, and I did not hear or see anyone mention this. As far as I can tell, it is a design problem, not the tolerances, not the machining, not the materials, but the design, the choice of material. It should have been with deeper grooves, and it should have been of hardened steel. In that case, it would have lasted a lot longer, and I would have been very happy with it, and anyone else. In this case, I'm not sure how others fare, but I managed to have this slip without over tightening it, and I'm not surprised. For one thing, when you have an M6 thread, you usually have a 10 millimeter hex, not an 8 millimeter. So that also puts a lower lever and puts more stress on components and is more likely to cause problems. So I'm not very thrilled with this. And in order to fix it, I could just get another M6 bolt, thread it here and call it a day, or use this old one, thread it in, and use a ratcheting wrench to tighten it and loosen it. That seems like the most practical thing to do, and that is what I will do. Let's close this up, and then we'll talk later. And basically it has let's see if I manage this plastic base. Let's tackle that. Another one, plastic fasteners, while we're at it, just briefly. So these fasteners are made of plastic, and I expect them to not be very durable. So these two are M5, and they will be using an 8 millimeter hex once these are broken and worn and I need to replace them. So I will be using an 8 millimeter wrench socket, and these other two are M6, and they will be using a 10 millimeter. So I expect that unless anything else gets broken, I will probably get another one of these with 10 millimeters and call it a day. And the reason why I painted this is that this paint shows where the bolt is going when I'm working it up and down, because this is not with the direction switch, but for screwing in you put it like this, for screwing out, loosening, you put it towards yourself, and that is where the bolt goes when you're working it. So saves a bit of time and concentration and whatnot. So let's put this together, and then we'll move the machine to a place where it can be more easily seen and caught on camera. But before that, that's not all. We'll discuss the thread pitches in just a second. Let's just try to get this bolt in place, get this out of the way to give myself some room. Okay. Get into the groove, as Madonna would say. Okay, let's see about this. Now, will it work as I hoped it would? No. Obviously a bad idea on my part, so I can only use the wrench normally, and I cannot use this section because there's not much clearance. So an ordinary wrench 8 millimeters will need to, and that's why they chose smaller diameter, because of the clearance issue. Okay, that makes sense. So either swap it with the 6 millimeter M6 with the hex for the Allen keys and hex keys, or with keep this original. So those are the options. Okay, and so this is now tightened in place, and if I want to change and adjust it, I need to unscrew this, loosen it, and then change the position, and then retighten it. And so let's see, when it gets to the vertical position, it's about like this. And so I'm not very happy with this design, and I will remove this and put a normal M6 bolt with the hex key and call it a day. Before I do that, I just want to also share some information. Here is a tool for measuring the pitch of a thread, and this is 0.7 metric, and it fits like a glove. So I thought it's an M4. This is also M4, 0.7, fits like a glove. However, the difference in outer diameter of this standard M4 bolt and this one are slight, but they exist. So this is 3.92, okay, and this one is 3.84, and so almost 1/10 of a millimeter smaller. And that may be the reason why I cannot screw a normal M4 thread inside here. I feel resistance right after I start, right here, a couple of turns, and I'm already feeling resistance. So if I wanted to work with this as it is, I would probably need to clean this thread, and then I would be able to put in a longer bolt that would allow me to use to reuse this spring that came with the tool. So to reuse it, and then use some wider washers, and then maybe cut off a part of a tool like this, so that I can work with a tool like that will allow me to work, and with enough clearance then to use against this to remove it. So maybe I will go that route. We will see. Okay, now that was a bit of a thinking out loud and figuring out how to fix this. I'll make a follow-up post on my forum about what I finally went with and how I'm happy with it. And I will also continue working with this, and hopefully in a year or two I would be able to post further information if it doesn't break down. In that case I'll post that. So let's move on. The stability. What I mean by that is, and I'm not sure if that's really possible to change, but it's worth noting. So when you put this horizontally, the belt side, in that case it becomes more likely, more easily to tilt into that direction. Even when you apply relatively moderate load, you can feel it, and I suppose that's normal, and it's not as if it can just easily tip, but it's not nearly as stable as it is when this is vertical. In that case, even when you apply some, which you shouldn't, but if you apply some pressure and anything, it feels a lot more sturdy, a lot more stable. And I am seriously considering to put a wooden block that is a bit wider, a bit on all sides, and with some rubber probably for vibration, and to not have it slipping, and to improve that while still being able to move it side to side. It's about 16 kilograms, so it's not super light. If memory serves me, I think it's about 16 kilograms. But it's not super heavy. I can lift it and move it, and when I work I often take it outside with this desk and it's okay. Let's move on. Plastic base, yes. This is probably some plastic. It feels like plastic, it looks like plastic. I don't think it's aluminum. Didn't cut it, didn't drill it, but it's plastic. And below, underneath the tool, this is some thin plastic that you can feel bending under when you press it. So that does make it a bit lighter, but it also makes it cheaper to make and less sturdy. So that's one of my concerns. If I tighten it with the bolts to some wooden plank, I would need to figure out how to carry it around so that this doesn't break. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, I must say. That's my impression. I bought this with my own money. It's not paid advert to either praise it or to criticize it. This is my opinion as much as I can tell and what I expect based on my decades of experience of working with various tools, seeing them break down and figuring it out. So this is a bit of a experience, and for some things in terms of durability, a bit of an educated guess, but not a wild guess at least. So take it for what it is. Let us move on. I mentioned the plastic base, and now the tool support. Yes, if you need to sharpen anything or work anything, I think that the English word here that Metabo did is cutting corners or cutting expenses. They want to make higher profits. This costs about $400 in my country. It's not cheap, and I was expecting when I saw this brand and the price that it will be something that maybe will outlive me so that my son can use it. I'm not so sure how much it will last. So another thing where they did save is these are with these plastic thingies and only held in one place. The same goes for this one, even though this one at least has some sort of a guide here also. But they don't feel very sturdy, very stable, and I will probably need to make some wooden base and then make a proper stand that I can put on and dismount and perhaps even adjust angle, especially for this part. And I expect if I do any sharpening, I did already a bit with this belt, but if I do much sharpening, it will mostly be done here for blades and this for the drill bits. So those are the downsides, and now the last downside is user manual, and I'll try to compensate for that. So this is the user manual that I got. It's lacking. It will not give you instructions on how to assemble the tool when you get it from the box, and I'll try to show and explain that in the video. So it is a bit lacking. It does give some basic instructions, but far from perfect. I got several of these books in different languages, but I was not thrilled. I make tutorial articles and videos in more detail. And so this is not to my taste. Maybe it's for the modern generation that will just go at it and figure it out without even reading that, but for me it's a bit, could have been better. So anyway, you get when you get this in the box, this is lying, so it's horizontal, and that thing is already mounted, so no worries about that. And these plastic thingies and this protection are separately in bags. So you get these plastic red things. Two of them have a wider thread, and they are for these wider M6 bolts. So this one has this like a female, and it uses you get several of these washers. Some are mid-size like this one, a few are small, and one is really large, a lot larger than all the others. So this is where you use that mid-size washer, and this is the M6 one. This one is male M6, and it also uses the M6 washer. So this one has its own, it's with a bolt included. You don't screw it onto a bolt. So that's the second one that goes here. And then the thinner ones, this one is female, the M5, and it uses the largest washer for this lower section. So you screw it onto a bolt that's already fixed to the machine. you place this and you mount it. So this is completely unscrewed, then you put this on and slide this over this rail, this guide, this small one here, and then you can adjust its position. You adjust it to be between 1 and 2 millimeters away from the spinning thing. So that's I will not waste too much time now here, but that's roughly the thing that you should try to do, so that it gives you some support, it doesn't scratch, and it's not too far away. That's about it. And finally, this last one is male with a bolt, and you use the smallest washer that you get here, and you get one wavy washer that you can probably see here. That goes for this bolt. You put it, you place first this one, and then you put through its holes into these two bolts. Tighten this one all the way. This one has a limit by how much it can tighten, so it cannot break this plastic. And then you loosen this one to adjust and tighten it. That's how it works. So that's nowhere explained in the instructions where everything goes. And I will also show briefly how to replace the belt and how to replace the stone should you need to do that. So let's start with replacing the stone. That is a bit of a more complex operation. Let's see about this. Okay, so I need to unscrew these 3 bolts. Then I will be able to remove this plate. Let's do that. When you hear it clicking, it means it's backed out completely, and then it's falling again into the hole. So you know it's done. Here. That's it. And now finally this one you can see, because it's completely going all the way in, you can see when it is unscrewed. We'll try to pry this off. Yes, I think that should be. Okay, it's off. This did see some use. I did try to clean it and vacuum it and do some compressed air, but it's not in a mint new condition. So these are the 3 bolts that are holding it in place, and 2 are shorter and 1 is longer. And so these will not fall out, and this one, if memory serves me, okay, so this too is not very likely to come out. So be careful not to damage them or bend them. Okay, now we have this here. As you can see, I put some mounting anti-seize paste here, and the way to work with this is, because this is on the left hand side of the machine, it's a reversed thread. And one of the tools that came with the machine, I will now use another one, but the hex or Allen key 6 millimeters, that's what came with the tool. So you use this, and I think you need a 24 millimeters, if memory serves me. Let's see. Yes, 24 millimeters. So to unscrew this, it's a reverse thread, so I need to go in a clockwise position to unscrew it, and I'm holding a counter with my tool. I can also hold here, but this is better. So here it is. It's designed so that it self-tightens when you are working with the machine, and so you needn't put some gigantic torque when you're tightening it. So that is the nut. It's out. Then this thing should come out. Let's see. Okay, here it's going gently. Okay, here it is, and let's show it without breaking anything. So I'll put this aside, and I want to show this. In many such appliances, you will get some stamped sheets of a bit thicker, but here this looks like a nice cast hardened steel. It's thick and inspires confidence, and so I am happy to see this. And the people from Metabo, maybe they have even women engineers. They deserve this, the praise and kudos for this. This looks very nicely designed and built, and they did not cut corners on this. And I hope that the motor itself is also of high quality. Time will tell, but those are the important parts when it comes to these kinds of machines. So hopefully it should be okay. The disc itself is not very, how do I say, it does have some off-center movement. I did notice that, both in lateral and in radial. And I am yet to spend some time with tools to straighten it from this part and to see if I can put some thin stickers here if that's needed to make sure that it's radially in line. There doesn't seem to be much play here, and it does seem to work okay, to not wobble. So I suppose that it will be okay. There are minimal vibrations. You can feel them when you're working, but they are not excessive. So I think that I'll make a follow-up video after a while, but I think that will be fine, I hope. Now let's try to put this back in place without damaging anything. So I need to watch from this side. Yes, it's sliding onto the other side, so it's good. This is 200mm disc rated for 3300 rounds per minute, and this thing spins at just under 3000 rounds per minute. So I think it's 2980 revolutions per minute, the machine. So about 10% safety margin on the specifications of the stones. So that sounds good, sounds reasonable. And so now I'm returning this back. It's a reverse thread, so I'm doing it by hand. Okay, now I need to tighten it, and I won't go super tight, I won't go crazy, because it will self-tighten during the use of the machine. So let's just keep it snug. That's more than good enough in my opinion. Now looks solid, no wiggle. Okay, now we need to put this back on, and it has a mark here for the direction in which this is turning, so it should also help you orient yourself. So let's see, this bolt goes here, and these other two bolts are a bit trickier to align. They go inside and they are not really visible, so it is a bit of a hassle, and not the simplest, quickest and most practical thing to do if you need to replace the stone. But stones are not replaced very often, so I need to watch from this side and find. I use even some light to try to see. Okay, here I can see I aligned it, and now I can start it up, and now press it with my hand just to make sure that it's sitting nicely all around. And then we'll get just to eliminate play. Okay, on all three, and double check, and now let's see, no scratching. Now I can tighten them. Tighten this one, tighten this one, Tighten this one. Okay. Looking good. As you could see, let's see, yes. I will now start praising this tool. Let's talk about the positive stuff. This was started with the bad stuff, then neutral, and now we'll start with the good vibes. Let's see if I can get a score from here. Not like Jokic at all. Okay, more work for me later on. So let's spin this baby around and talk about the good stuff. Opa, here it is. Put this back in place so that you don't forget to do that later on. But I forgot to show how to replace the belt. Let's first show how to replace the belt. Okay, sorry. That's another thing. My bad. Let's see. For replacing the belt, you need 4mm hex key, and there are two bolts inside here that you need to loosen by 3 or 4 turns. Okay. And I forgot a washer. Now I've loosened the 2 bolts. Now I need to pull this up and release it. So this is what it looks on the inside. You put it down to hang on the bolts, and then when you loosen them, you pull it up and take it out from the bolt. And the first thing that I didn't like is that these washers were black and the bolts are black, and this is black. And so I could not see when I'm remounting it. I could not see it easily. So I took some paint and painted these into white, and now I can easily see when I'm returning this. We'll show it from that angle from camera, but first let's show how to replace the belt. So what I mentioned about safety is generally a good idea to make sure that the tool is unplugged when you're working with it, to see the plug, to make sure. So this is a lever, so this has some sand. I've been using it. You pull this to release the tension. It's released, and then you can take the belt out and replace it. So just my bad. Let's take it out from here. It's easier when you do it that way. Okay, so it's out, and when you need to put a new belt, you can do so also, just in reverse. So put this in, and this may not look like the most practical procedure in the world, but it is a lot faster and a lot simpler and a lot more convenient compared to replacing a stone. And you have belts with various grits and so on. Now I will just ask Gox to put camera in this angle, so just to show you what I mean when you're putting this back on. And you can see these grooves. This is some hard wood, so no slipping, and these grooves should direct air to make sure that the belt is nicely cooled. So that's not a bad thing. And yes, this can all be cleaned with vacuum cleaners and air compressor. This is some fine dust from sanding wood, and so if I wanted to switch to metal, I would probably make sure that it's all clean so that these small pieces of wood don't catch fire easily from hot metal. Anyway, now let's get back here. I'm putting this over the 2 bolts, and now I'm sliding it down, and it's held in place. So I can check visually to see that the white parts that I marked are visible. If they are not, that means that I did not align something properly. So that's one thing. Then I would tighten the bolts back and call it a day. A nice feature that they made here is that this top section is held on the side away from the camera fixed, and here it has a preload with a spring and a nut, and this is those nuts that don't unscrew easily. So you use this to, when you tighten it, you are when you're screwing this in, you are practically moving this downwards and pulling this whole wheel down to one side, and that will move the belt towards that side. It will angle it. If the belt is too much out, then you unscrew this and this gets pulled back, and so the wheel will lean the other way, and that's how you gradually, slowly and carefully make sure that the belt is centered. And when you change belts, or even when you change the position of this, it will affect how the belt is aligned. So it's a good idea to try and spin it with hand to make sure that it's not going all off right away, and then to turn it on and be prepared to turn it off right away to see if it's moving, sliding too much, to not get it all the way off and damage and catch something, but to fix it using that. And that's accessible from the outside. So let's bring back this. It's back in place. Now I can tighten these too. And these don't have to be super tight, and this is plastic, so okay, this is plastic, so no need to break it, to risk breaking it. So okay, so that's now let's talk about the other nice things. So safety, I mentioned that the positives. Safety is important thing, and here they did put some effort into making sure that you don't get injured easily. So they have this protective section here for the lower part of this belt. You can remove it and put this limit lower if you wish to work on that section, and then if you wish to work on the straight section that has a backing, so this is flat and it can be very good for sharpening, you can put this back on and work here, so you don't accidentally get caught in this section or injured or similar, and everything else from all sides is covered and closed. That's good. Okay, so it has that. Then when it comes to the stone, these protections that encase almost the entire stone seem very strong and very good. And if a stone breaks, the shards make a lot of noise and make dents and break things and hurt people if they hit them. So it's good to limit this. And the way this stone is turning is downwards, so if you put all these protections in place, you are very highly likely to be okay, even if the stone breaks, though it should not if you don't do anything silly. And just in case, it has this top cover. I hope that you can get these replacement as spare parts, but I am not 100% sure, I must say. But this is also a very nice feature because it's transparent, and I'm sure that it will get scratched and worn over time. But in addition to wearing safety goggles, safety eyewear, protection and things, this is a nice feature, and I like having this here. So that is very nice. Let's go on. Yes, vacuum. It has an adjustment so that you can plug in your vacuum cleaner, and those Bosch tools, they have adapters that fit here right in. This is inside about 35.3 millimeters, and outer diameter is 40 millimeters. And so if I take the adapter that I have from my Bosch tools, it has a rubber part and it can fit right in here. And so that's a nice option, especially if you're working with wood. Then a lot of things fly, and it's a nice thing. With metal it's not so much of a problem, but it's a good feature. They did put that thing. Okay, let's move on. The belt speed for sharpening, I calculated this by measuring, placing some masking tape and measuring when the belt makes an entire turn, how much this turns, and then calculating the diameter. Diameter times pi is the total circumference, and this is 1020 millimeters circumference of the belt. It's 50 millimeters wide if you need spare, and this one is 200 millimeters. by 25 by 32. So those are the dimensions, the bore diameter and the width. And where was I? Yes, the belt speed is lower. You could see it's all spinning on the same shaft, the same motor, but the circle, the rubber thing that I showed that spins the belt is smaller in diameter, and so the speed that this goes, the material that moves the surface of the belt is just 60% of the speed that the surface of the stone is spinning. And that is important if you are sharpening and don't want to burn things, or even removing material and don't want to burn it all that quickly, wood even similar, and if you're sharpening metal and things like that, it helps to be able to reduce speed. Unfortunately, this tool does not let you adjust speed. It's a set speed, but at least they made the belt not turn too quickly, so you can work. It's not ideal, it's not perfect. Sharpening belt would be adjustable, and even sanding, but it's okay, it gets the job done. So far I'm happy with the performance, apart from these few things that I mentioned at the start of the video. Now, of course, we already shown the next thing, adjustable belt angle. You can adjust the angle however it works for you. For me, so far, this vertical position is the best, but you can adjust it to your taste and needs. Now, the motor, I did mention it's an induction motor. It's 600 watts, and it doesn't get too hot, but we'll see in the summer when it gets really hot outside and inside here. But so far it's not too noisy, it's not too hot, it works okay. It should be durable. They advertise it as a good high quality motor, but for that I'll know in a year or two. Maybe by that time Metabo will publish a newer model, so all that will be obsolete. The experience and won't help anyone because this will no longer be sold. But if it is, I'll make sure to post in the video's description any updates and similar, probably on my forum BikeGremlin.net, make a topic about this too. Stone mount. What do I mean by the stone mount? I already mentioned that when I was showing how to disassemble it and how to replace the stone. It does inspire confidence the way that part is designed, and so I am happy, and it's promising. Of course, again, in a few years of abuse we'll know for sure, but for now it's looking promising. And now let me double check all the clearances. Okay, I need to tighten this further and then we'll let it spin, just show. Maybe fun. Okay, looking good, feeling good. Let's see if it's on level. No holes. Okay, so let's try to turn it on and see how it fares. So it has an LED light here, as you can see, and this is the amount of noise that you get. There are some vibrations, but they are not excessive. The stone does need a bit, you can see here. The stone does need a bit of truing. But it's not too bad, even from the factory as it is. It's okay. So turn it off. And the thing that I like about safety is also that the way this machine is designed is even if you do stupid things and go with your hand over the the rotating parts to turn it off, not directly from the front, you are most likely to hit one of these protective barriers and not have your sleeve or your hand caught into this, even when this is mounted as you would probably mount it when you're using it like this too. So it's not too bad tool, as far as I can tell from for now. It's not perfect. I did not manage to find a tool that looks like it has all the parts made of high quality and without costing a lot more. And even regardless of the price, as far as I can tell, every manufacturer today is trying to make savings on some things and cut some corners. And I'm not sure how much this would sell if they improved all the things that I mentioned in this video. Would that cost $100 more? Would I buy it for $100 more? Maybe, after I've been using it for a year or two to make sure that it's good quality, and if they assure me, okay, this your upgraded model is really nothing, we didn't break anything worse, we just improved the things that you didn't like. So that's always tricky nowadays. New models get published very frequently, and it's all about marketing. And if you work for a living, the working man gets how do I say, you make money hard and you spend it on things that don't end up being very durable. Very often it's difficult to find things that are reliable and robust, at least for me, at least in my experience, and it's getting worse and worse. And I was, as I said, hoping that Metabo, as a brand that is, at least in my country, renowned for high quality and for durable things, that this machine will last for a long time. And based on what I've seen, I'm not very confident, but I also must say that it is getting the job done and it is working okay for me for now. And I hope that in a year or two I will be able to just post comments on my website or forum saying, okay, it's still working good, and if it's still in sale after that time, maybe that would be a purchasing recommendation. Ideally, Metabo would fix all the problems that I've noted here, and that would be great. In terms of any warranties and things like that, in European Union the minimum is 2 years. I don't know about the US. I'm mentioning this because if Google is not lying a lot, many people who watch these videos in English are from the United States. So for one single country, if I check. And so I'm not sure about the pricing in the United States. I'm not sure about the warranty in the United States. In Serbia, warranty is also 2 years, but I am not haven't had any experience with Metabo so far, and to see how that works in practice and how satisfied I would be. And I'm sure that these things that I did would probably make my warranty void, and it's just I wasn't sure even if I did return this, would I get my money back. It was that's not easy in Serbia. You can get if something is really broken and it's not you. In this case it would be probably hard to prove that, and even if I got all the money back, I'm not sure which tool I would get. So I was thinking it would be just better to try and fix these minor things, and if the motor and all the other moving parts hold up, great. If not, then I made a stupid bad calculation and risk, and lost some money. So, but we'll see. So far I'm more happy than not with this tool, and I hope this video has helped you, and if not, that it's been at least entertaining, and I will see you in some other video. Cheers, stay cool. If you are watching this, that means that I forgot to thank all the good people who support my work on patreon.com/BikeGremlin. It's highly appreciated, it helps, thank you very much. Instead of telling you to like, share and subscribe, I will tell you to bookmark the BikeGremlin.com website, because there you can find the list of all my videos sorted by topics, wherever they are hosted, if YouTube decides to delete one of the videos for whatever reason. And I will also ask you to create an account on the BikeGremlin.net forum and ask any questions there, because that way anyone with a similar question can easily search and find the answer without waiting for me to answer their question. Thank you.